Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. It's the show that respects this guy's hair game.
Here I go. Here I go.
So if you want a Travis Scott reverse swoosh, does the barber charge resale prices or nah? Let's start with some hot takes. Hey, remember last week when we talked about the performative outrage regarding the Lil Nas X and Nike Air Max 97 controversy? Well, get ready to be fake mad or not fake mad because a settlement has been made and anybody who was confused about this release can now send back their shoes for a full refund, or they can resell them for double or triple what they paid for them, which is what I'm pretty sure 99% of the people who bought them are planning to do. But I am curious, was there even one person who bought these shoes because they believe that Nike finally seized them and now they feel betrayed? Like, I actually need to know because congrats, you played yourself. Ama Monri owner James Whitner was featured on Complex Sneakers talking about his upcoming Air Jordan 3 collaboration called Raised by Women. In the piece, Whitner talks about the design process and how his experiences translate into the shoe. And because it's the topic of the day, week, month, and year in the sneaker world, he's claiming that women will have first crack at buying a pair when the shoes do drop later this month. That's great because dudes out here are not polite when it comes to reselling and they have no shame when it comes to flexing. I'm not privy to their plans, but I bet you can probably eliminate a good chunk of the racists and misogynists by just forcing them to pronounce Kamala Harris correctly. Nike has revealed the jerseys for the players of the WNBA and they'll be wearing them for the 25th season and they look pretty good. I'm partial to the Los Angeles Sparks jersey because, of course, I would be, but I can see the Sabrina Ionescu New York Liberty and the Sue Bird Seattle Storm jerseys becoming a big hit in the summer, even if I'm starting to wonder about Nike's ability to do whatever they please without restrictions, but more on that later. April Fool's Day was over a week ago, but that didn't stop Dollar Tree Skip Bayless, aka Rob Parker, from spouting out two mind-boggling dumb takes this past week. The first was his ongoing one-sided feud with Steph Curry, where he says Steph isn't a transcendent talent. Like, what? If Rob's hope from this take was us wondering if he still has a job, then great work, man. The second was his piece on the carcass of what was once Deadspin, where he called on the PGA to move the Masters due to the current political climate in Georgia. You know, the Masters, the prestigious, invite-only major golf tournament held by Augusta National Golf Club for nearly 90 years and that the PGA Tour has no control over. Not only that, if Rob did a little research, he would know that Augusta has such deep pockets that they can give sponsors the middle finger and host the tournament with no ads, which they've done in the past. Moving the MLB All-Star Game is one thing, but moving the Masters is literally impossible. Somewhere, Stephen A. Smith and Skip are smiling, knowing their spots at the top of the hot take mountain are safe and secure. And look, we're recording this before the end of the tournament, so if any player or sponsor dropped out of the Masters because they no longer find the tournament to be representative of their values, that's their prerogative and their right to do so. But golf is gonna golf, man, and it's going to take a lot more than missing out on the green jacket to see any real change. And honestly, the one person who could move the needle by sitting out of the Masters can't do it because of unfortunate circumstances. And if there was a time to do it, it should have been years ago, not now when it could be seen as performative rather than progressive. Like, even Nike Golf is scared of Augusta. We can't get the LeBron Palmers to drop with golf spikes, and this week will be the 2-year anniversary of the cancellation of the Air Jordan 11 Low Golf Snake Pack. That still hurts me, man. Shout out to DeMarcus Cousins, the former All-Star and Laker for a cup of coffee, recently signed a 10-day contract with the Los Angeles Clippers and had a good first outing, showing flashes of the boogie that we all know and love. Coincidentally, there are now reports saying that Kawhi Leonard is seriously considering staying with the team after his contract ends this season. It just goes to show you the effect of bringing in a star-level talent to help your franchise player. You know, someone that they can lean on and count on when the playoffs come along. I always felt that was the thing that was missing. That was the missing element that Kawhi needed. Speaking of players showing flashes, Blake Griffin dunked again in Brooklyn. Okay, look. I've been trying to hold it in for the past few weeks ever since he made his way to the Nets, but I don't get it. Like, every time Blake dunks, NBA Twitter freaks out like he did a Mozgov from 10 years ago. I can't get myself hyped for a dunk where Blake's head is barely scraping the net when back then, he was damn near kissing the rim. He's still a good player, but let's not act like he's 2016 Blake when he was arguably top 3 in the league. Let's just calm down a little bit, people. On the flip side, yo, did you see that Kyrie dunk? That's the real highlight if you ask me. I mean, it's not as nice as this. Wait, You guys just played that dunk of me again, didn't you? God, I hate you, co-writer. Look, we're recording this prior to the finale of the Attack on Titan manga, so there's a good chance that by the time you watch this, you will either be wholly satisfied in an Avengers Endgame kind of way, unbelievably angry in a Game of Thrones kind of way, or you're like me, super annoyed with the anime because it was divided into 2 parts and they didn't announce part 2 until right before the last episode aired. Aaron Yeager, that's my 3-word review of Season 4, Part 1 of Attack on Titan. Oh, and Sasha deserved better. Make that 6 words. This is a few weeks old, but I guess Intel is introducing new software called Bleep that will use AI to bleep out offensive language in chat rooms before you hear them. The wild thing is that it's got sliders. So if you want a combination of mild xenophobia with a touch of misogyny, a casual N-word usage, but no name calling, it might be possible with Bleep. It's a very treat the symptom and not the disease way of dealing with online harassment, as Austin Walker points out. But it's a start, I guess. I can't wait for this thing to get out of beta so games of Warzone will sound like censored rap albums that Walmart used to sell back in the days. Now, before we move on to the next segment, I just wanted to take this time to send all my prayers and well wishes to DMX and his family. Of course, when stuff like this happens, tributes and stories come creeping up about how X inspired them or how X was cool when they met him in person. I'm going to try not to do that because nobody wants to hear about how I was a huge fan of his music or how it was a shame he was in only one Def Jam fighting game and had the coolest finishing move. No. This should be about Earl Simmons, his family, and what we can do to help them and help others in the future to prevent stuff like this from happening. And X was in a unique position in that regard because he wasn't the type to hide his demons. He was telling us and showing us through his music. We knew that he struggled to be the person he wants to be and that he hopes and prays to be better. The signs were there, and while I don't think that we ignored it in this case, maybe more should have been done by the community to keep X moving to the place in his mind and his heart that he desired to be. There's been talks by guys like Master P that maybe a union should be in place to help artists who go through tough times. I have no idea if that's the solution ultimately, but something needs to be done because it breaks my heart that somebody who gave us so much of himself doesn't get the chance to age gracefully and enjoy the flowers while he's still around. All right, it's the Heat Check where we bring you everything that's dropping this week. First up, we have the Nike Air Max 1 Dark Teal Green. This was on the 15th for $150. That $150 price point is a little startling at first, but it's justified by the premium full leather upper. Combine that with the old school color blocking, and you've got something the old heads will surely appreciate. The Nike More Air Up Tempo in black and varsity red on April 16th for $160. I could totally see Scottie Pippen rocking these back in the days when he wore the original More Up Tempos. Then again, Scottie Pippen has proven lately that he will rock just about anything. Yeah, we have the Nike Dunk Low Green Glow on the 16th for $100. This women's exclusive colorway has been delayed a few times, but a sneakers app listing could mean it's actually going to happen now, right? Right? No? I don't know. Nike Dunk Low Michigan, April 16th for $100. Look, I'm not gonna judge if you want to throw some orange laces and a drill to place some holes on these and call them off-whites. Okay, I lied. I'm absolutely going to judge you. The Nike Air Griffey Max 1 Varsity Royal on the 16th for $170. It's an OG Griffey colorway that's gotten a few retros over the years, so I can't say that this is a pair that I'm excited to see, but then again, the Freshwater retro from a few weeks ago sold out immediately, so maybe the Griffey nostalgia is at an apex of a moment. We have the Air Jordan 1 Hyper Royal on the 17th for $170. It should be illegal to wear these without an airbrush denim outfit and a white shirt, throwing it back to the early 2000s. Now, if you're wondering if I have said airbrush denim outfit, of course I don't. I was a baby back then. We have the McDonald's Adidas Harden Volume 5 All-American on the 17th for $130. The splatter hits of color is a perfect match to the jerseys that Adidas athletes like Harden and Derrick Rose wore during the early 2000s. Unfortunately, these things will not come with fries, a 6-pack of nuggets, and trading cards. Damn, that's actually a great idea. Then we have the Nike Nike KD 14 Preheat on April 17th. Foot Locker has it listed for the 17th, but without a lot of promo and hype so far, there's a good chance we're pushing these back a few weeks. Of course, as I say this, there's a good chance Nike is going to give this the red carpet treatment just to mess with me. Then we have a pick of the week, which is a tie. The Nike LeBron 8 Blue and Orange on April 14th for $200, and the Adidas Yeezy Boost 700 Bright Blue on the 17th for $240. It took a decade, but we're finally getting a proper release of the shoe formerly known as the Hardwood Classics LeBron 8, and based on the sneakers listing, Nike is embracing the lifestyle aspect with the nubuck and leather upper. Meanwhile, the Yeezy Boost 700 Bright Blue has become a go-to for paint companies and interior designers hoping to capture a certain je ne sais quoi according to Better Home and Gardens. Also known as powder blue or French blue by industry experts, light blue is a fresh, fun, and relaxing shade. Design professionals nationwide are selecting it for kitchen cabinetry, trim, built-in shelving, bathroom vanities, and more. And now, an addendum of sorts to last week's segment. I just want to take this time to apologize to Giannis Antetokounmpo. On last week's Heat Check segment, we mentioned the Nike basketball signature shoe roster and how most of them had defining characteristics that separated them from each other. Like, we see the Kobe Protro, you think it's going to be at the cutting edge of performance, or how a Kyrie is an art project. I did not mention Giannis and his Zoom Freak line because he's only 2 signature shoes into his story, and I don't think that's enough time for us to really define what they're all about. Like, maybe PlayStation needs to rethink their strategy and move over to Giannis before they sully their brand even more with another PG drop. Wow. I was just going to apologize to Giannis, and then the pandemic peas caught a stray. Did not see that coming. Ah, well. All right. And now for a heat check on the Z Code, which sounds like the name of a series of spy books that's going to be turned into a movie starring Jason Statham that goes straight to DVD. Not Netflix, DVD. Yeah, anyways, the Z Code by Jordan Brand is the rumored first signature shoe of none other than Zion Williamson, an all-star big man for the New Orleans Pelicans and a potential star in the MCU if they ever decide to make a basketball Hulk and don't want to spend too much on CGI. The shoe features a Z that cuts across the upper, separating them into 2 distinct parts. The bottom is fairly plain around the toe area and explodes with a colorful spelling of Zion's name on the ankle and heel. It feels like an extension of the player-exclusive Air Jordans that Zion is wearing during his brief time in the NBA. From the Bayou Boys to the coloring book inspired by his younger brother, Zion's shoe stylings so far have been far from subtle. And at the same time, I fear that the Z Code is going to fall into the same trap that Jordan signature shoes that are not Air Jordans proper end up in, and that's in the shadow of the GOAT. Like, yes, a Jordan Brand endorsement deal is awesome, and it comes with all sorts of cool perks like exclusive retros that no one else besides DJ Khaled will ever own. Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, and Russell Westbrook are league fits all-stars off of the strength of their sneaker game alone. But their own signature shoes, largely forgettable to the public. Like, I can tell you the difference between the Westbrook why nots, but that's because it's my job to do so. I doubt that would be the case if I was just a casual sneaker fan who checks in every few weeks to see what's hot. Other than the Z on the upper, it doesn't strike me as a pair that will resonate beyond the ballers who will actually wear them on the court. Now, that's not a bad thing, but we all know that one of the reasons why Air Jordans became such a part of pop culture is because they were shoes that you could see being worn by MJ to hoop in while you got to wear them to watch him play. It's the magic formula that Nike, Jordan Brand, Adidas, Puma, and every other sneaker brand has been chasing, but nobody's been able to come close. And these first images of the Z Code are not inspiring in that sense, but I'm going to give it time to impress me and hope that new colorways start to surface that I'll have a better idea of what to expect. And Zion's future is so bright that I doubt this is going to be a one and done for him. He's going to get multiple attempts to make a shoe that we actually want, and I hope we get it sooner rather than later. I give this first look at the Jordan Z Code 5 exploding PG 2.5s out of 10 Zion top shots. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just need to go. Like this Brandon Marshall take on NBA contracts.
Y'all talking about because y'all talking about the NBA, everybody got guaranteed contracts, and it's false. There's 4 guys on the NBA team that got guaranteed contracts, and everybody else can be cut today and don't got nothing. Look it up, look it up, look it up. It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed.
Dude, when Chad Johnson is the voice of reason, you know it's a busy day at the office. I can't even imagine how mad NFL fans would be if players had guaranteed contracts like they do in the NBA. They'll be wishing for the old days when guys just kneeled during the national anthem. Anyways, this week's Hard Pass goes to the U.S. Postal Service. Not because the person in charge is horrible and will wreck the way we send our kicks forever, but because they're contemplating taking legal action against Nike. If you're not up to speed, Nike was supposed to release a Nike Air Force One that is based on USPS packaging. I say supposed to because there's no way in hell these are ever going to come out now that the USPS has threatened a lawsuit. In their statement, the Postal Service states that they were just doing what they can to protect their intellectual property. At the same time, they call out the hypocrisy of Nike, stating, "This is an unfortunate situation where a brand as large as Nike, which aggressively protects its own intellectual property, has chosen to leverage another brand for its own gain." Ouch. The timing is especially relevant because Nike has been in the middle of a handful of legal battles over the past few months that have made the swoosh look like a cross between an overprotective parent and the Michael Jordan "I took it personally" meme. In 2021 alone, they have shut down the Warren Lotus knockoff dunks and ordered a cease and desist to Lil Nas X and Mischief over their controversial customized Air Max 97s. Last year, they won against Kawhi Leonard over the use of the claw logo, and then there was the latest never-ending struggle of Flyknit versus PrimeKnit. Typically, Nike comes out on top in these fights in court because they're usually the bigger company with the more expensive lawyers. But this potential legal tussle with the USPS is a little different. In fact, I'm starting to change my mind mid-segment and say that the USPS possibly suing and winning a legal battle with Nike could fundamentally change the sneaker world forever. I think this is the first time we've done this on the Hard Pass, where we do a hard pass on the Hard Pass segment. I'm kind of amazed it took us this long to do something like this, so let's play a little thought experiment. Now that the story has kind of escalated and gained traction, there's a very good chance that these Air Force Ones go the way of the Betsy Ross Air Max 1s or the Black Sheep Nike SB Dunk High, meaning they get canceled and are never seen or heard from again, save for a few tweaks. But what if Nike doubled down and fought back, claiming they have the right to release the Air Force Ones under the guise of a parody? Would it be a long, protracted battle that could take weeks or months, or would it be a quick win for the USPS? If Nike were to lose against the Postal Service, would that spell the end of Nike SB Dunks as we know it? Think about the thousands of Nike SB Dunks that have been released through the years that are clearly inspired by intellectual properties that don't belong to them. Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Mans, Street Fighters, Jedis, Tiffany's, the list goes on. In the before times, when sneaker culture was just composed of actual sneakerheads, there have been dunks that have been shut down before they ever made it to stores, like the Freddy Krugers and the Heinekens. But with the heightened awareness that might force them to think twice about releasing kicks that could be mistaken as collabs. For example, we've been calling the yearly multicolored LeBron shoe Fruity Pebbles without giving it a second thought. Black and white speckled sneakers get called Oreos all the time. Puma had to shelve a pair that was clearly based on In-N-Out. Kanye seemingly has a goal to release a Yeezy 350 that covers every entry in the Pantone scale. What if they all went away and we went back to the old times when the only Air Jordans that ever came out were based on the team Michael Jordan was on and the dunks were just true to their school? Nike would be hesitant to work with shops and designers that are known to ape concepts and color schemes of popular properties and call it their own. You would see us reporting on Adidas having to cancel an Ultra Boost that's based on the Statue of Liberty because the Statue of Liberty called and said, "Not today, yo." The Nike LeBron 8 Blue and Orange would be shelved because New York Knicks owner and lead singer of JD and the Straight Shots, James Dolan, would be pretty petty. It would make it hard for Nike to just do whatever they want, and I think that's the point. Take what they've done to NBA jerseys ever since they got the license a few years ago. When Adidas had the rights, you could count on the jerseys basically being consistent from years on in with a special few additions here and there for some teams, like the Golden State Warriors have their Chinese New Year jersey, or the Lakers go black for Hollywood Nights. But now, Nike has 2 or 3 new jerseys for fans to buy at the start of the season, and that's not even including Hardwood Classic Nights or the earned editions that they made for teams that made the playoffs the year prior. And while I applaud the revised WNBA jersey they are making for the 25th anniversary, I can also see them going overboard sooner than later. When left unchecked, the ratio of inspired cool ideas to someone just looking at what they DoorDashed for lunch and made that into a shoe or jersey gets worse and worse. Like, maybe doing a moratorium on collaborations for a year or two and having Nike's legal team just comb through every release to avoid potential litigation or social media cancellation will be a kick in the butt that the brand needs. I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like it's funny and kind of cool when I see a sneaker that's based on the other IP that I love, but it's also fleeting. Like, none of these are ever going to replace my love for a pair of black cement 3s or Del Sol Kobe's. And that's what I want Nike and these other brands to do. Get back in the lab and give us the hits that don't remind me of something else. It's like this one Twitter video that's been floating around of a DJ doing a mix of songs that sampled Between the Sheets by the Isley Brothers. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Big Papa and the other songs that sample the classic, but man, Between the Sheets is on a whole different level, and I want a song and sneakers that are on that level. Man, this whole segment just made me sound like an old man yelling at the clouds, which is impossible because obviously I'm a Gen Z kid who spends all day making viral videos on Snapchat. Swag. All right, and that's gonna do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before I show you a Komodo dragon doing what we all do as we start to get into the summer months. Get close to something cool. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.